July 2024, the International Court of Justice has recognized beyond any reasonable doubt that the occupation that Israel maintained in Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem is unlawful and must be relinquished totally and unconditionally. The troops, the military barracks, so the military presence, but also the civilian presence, all the settlements must be dismantled. Which doesn't mean that there will be an uprooting of all Jewish people living in the occupied Palestinian territory, but the land is to be returned to their owners. And perhaps the Jewish Israelis who are there may want to rent instead of stealing and living as Palestinians if there is a Palestinian state. And this is not even new. This is not even new. Everyone knew that the occupation was unlawful, and not just for violations of international law here and there, because Israel kidnapped children and adults, including in the middle of the night, and put them in jail for days, weeks, months, and years, until they confessed crimes that they had not committed. And not just because of torturing, demolishing homes, killing people arbitrarily, no, not because of that. The occupation is unlawful because by its very presence, it prevents the Palestinians from enjoying their right of self-determination, the right to exist as a people, free to determine themselves as a people, which is nonetheless any other rights lose meanings and becomes an exercise of intellectual rhetoric without the right of self-determination. So in the face of this groundbreaking advisory opinion, which has confirmed what everyone knew, it is the obligation not only of the German government, but every German person, including those having businesses, living in the settlements, working as soldiers in the Israeli occupation forces, not to do that anymore. Otherwise, they might face consequences. And this is where we are today. And instead of working on this and seeing how to abide by this incredibly important advisory opinion, the government of this country continues to repress the critical voices that ask for accountability. I would like you to carry with you after this wonderful afternoon together. Impartiality for human rights defenders, investigators, and monitors like myself entails an obligation to investigate and establish the facts objectively, studying everything that is brought to our knowledge against applicable international law. Once the assessment is done, my job is not to be equidistant from the parties, whatever it is, but to insist on measures to restore legality, to undo injustice, and prevent further abuses. In the case of Palestine, it is overwhelmingly documented that Israel commits intentionally and as a matter of state policy the gravest human rights offences as part of its long-standing plan to maintain control over what Israeli human rights organization B'Tselem has called a regime, quote, a regime of Jewish supremacy from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. Full stop, end of quote. Impartiality cannot be used as a pompous name for indifference and an elegant name for ignorance. Impartiality is not about maintaining the pretense of both sides in the face of international atrocities, of maintaining, as I was saying, an equidistant position between conflicting parties, even when their positions are structurally and historically unequal. When one side occupies, depredates, and oppresses, and the other is being occupied, depredated, and dispossessed, this is a recipe for disaster and violence. Impartiality is not neutrality. Neutrality, meaning maintaining an equidistant position between conflicting parties, even when their positions might not be equal, and usually to deliver life-saving aid. It's not my mandate, and not even that of universities, and not even that of your politicians. Our job is not to stay neutral. Our job is to stay truthful to international law. This is what all of us have in common.